Danny Martinez stared at his phone screen and felt his stomach drop. Another text message, another rejection. Sorry, Danny, you're really nice, but I don't think we're right for each other. Good luck. He set the phone down on his kitchen table and looked around his small apartment. Empty pizza boxes sat on the counter. Dirty dishes filled the sink. His only plant was dying in the corner, its leaves brown and sad. This was the third date this month that had ended the same way. Nice but not right. Sweet but no spark. Good guy but just friends. Danny had heard it all before. He was 28 years old and worked as a software engineer in Portland. He made good money, had his own place, and could fix almost any computer problem. On paper, he looked like a catch. In real life, he felt invisible. Danny walked to his computer and sat down in his old chair. The screen lit up with code from his current project, but he minimized the window. Work could wait. Right now, he needed to vent his feelings somewhere. He opened his web browser and went to his favorite forum. It was called Cosmic Mysteries and only had about 50 members. Most people there talked about aliens, space, and whether humans were alone in the universe. Danny liked reading the posts, even though he thought most of them were crazy. Tonight felt different. Tonight he was angry and sad and tired of being alone. Danny clicked on the new post button and started typing. If there really are advanced beings out there watching us, here's proof humans are broken. I'm 28 years old and completely unlovable. I've tried dating apps, blind dates, coffee shops, book clubs, everything. No one wants me. If aliens are studying humans to see if we're worth talking to, they should look at me. I'm proof that some humans are just defective. No alien civilization would waste time on someone like me. We're not ready for the stars because some of us can't even get a second date. Danny read his post 3 times. It sounded bitter and pathetic, but it was honest. He hit the submit button and closed his laptop. He made himself a sandwich and watched TV for an hour. The shows were boring, but they helped him stop thinking about his failed date. When he finally went back to his computer, he expected maybe 1 or 2 replies from the forum's regular users. Instead, his screen was doing something impossible. Colors that had no name swirled across his monitor. The light was so bright it hurt his eyes, but he could not look away. His mouse and keyboard stopped working. The air in his apartment started to feel thick and warm. Danny stood up so fast his chair fell over. The colors on his screen began to pour out into his room like liquid light. They formed a column of energy that reached from his desk to his ceiling. This is not real, Danny said to himself. I'm having a breakdown. Too much stress. Too many failed dates. My brain is finally cracking. But the light kept growing brighter. His furniture began to shake. Books fell off his shelves. The dying plant in the corner suddenly bloomed with flowers that glowed like tiny stars. Then the light took shape. A woman stepped out of the energy column. She was tall and beautiful in a way that made Danny's eyes water. Her skin looked like it was made of starlight. Patterns of tiny galaxies moved across her arms and face. Her hair floated around her head like she was underwater, but made of silver fire. When she spoke, her voice sounded like music played on instruments that did not exist on Earth. Challenge accepted. Danny Martinez of Earth. Danny's mouth fell open. He tried to speak, but no words came out. The woman looked around his apartment with curiosity. She touched his coffee table and it began to shine. She glanced at his dying plant and it burst into full bloom, its leaves turning a healthy green. You are surprised, she said. This is understandable. Your species has not yet made official contact with the galactic community. Danny finally found his voice. Are you an alien? She smiled, and it was like watching a sunrise. I am Zara. I come from what you call the Andromeda Galaxy. My people have been watching your world for many thousands of your years. Watching us, why? We study developing civilizations to see if they are ready to join the greater universe. Your planet shows promise, but we have not been certain. Danny looked around his messy apartment. And you came here because of my forum post? Yes. Your message reached our monitoring station 17 minutes ago. It was quite loud in the cosmic sense. Your pain called out across space. My pain? Zara stepped closer. Up close, Danny could see that her eyes held entire nebulae. You claimed you are unlovable. You said this proves humans are defective. I am here to tell you that you are wrong. But I am unlovable. 3 women this month have told me so. Well, not in those exact words, but the message was clear. Danny Martinez, Zara said. and hearing his name in her musical voice made his heart skip. You do not understand what you are. Your capacity to feel pain, to doubt yourself, to want love even when you fear you cannot have it. This is not weakness. This is what makes your species remarkable. Danny sat down heavily on his couch. I don't understand. Most advanced civilizations lose these feelings as they evolve. We become logical, efficient, perfect. But we also become cold. Your people still feel everything deeply. You create art from sadness. You write songs about longing. You risk your hearts again and again despite being hurt. Do you know how rare this is in the universe? It doesn't feel rare. It feels stupid. Zara laughed, and the sound made Danny's apartment windows sing. This is exactly what I mean. Even now, in the presence of a cosmic being who has traveled across galaxies to meet you, you doubt your worth. This self-awareness, this humble uncertainty, it is precious beyond measure. Danny stared at her. So you're saying my dating problems are actually good? I am saying that your ability to love imperfectly, to want connection despite fear, to remain vulnerable despite pain, these qualities make you and your entire species valuable beyond your understanding. The energy column behind Zara began to fade. She looked at it with concern. My time here is limited for now. I must return to my ship and report what I have found. But Danny Martinez, I will return. You issued a challenge when you declared yourself unlovable. I have accepted that challenge. What does that mean? Zara smiled again. It means I am going to prove you wrong. And in doing so, I will prove to the galactic community that humanity is ready to join us among the stars. Before Danny could ask another question, she stepped back into the fading light and disappeared. His apartment returned to normal except for his plant, which continued to glow softly in the corner. Danny sat in the sudden silence and wondered if he was losing his mind. But deep in his heart, he felt something he had not felt in years: hope. Danny woke up the next morning wondering if he had dreamed the whole thing. His apartment looked normal. His dishes were still dirty. His pizza boxes were still on the counter, but his plant was alive and blooming. He walked over to it and touched one of the glowing flowers. It felt real. The light was soft and warm under his fingers. Okay, Danny said to himself. Either I met an alien last night or I'm having the most detailed hallucination in human history. He got ready for work and drove to his office building downtown. Danny worked for a small software company that made apps for restaurants. It was not exciting, but it paid the bills. His friend Jake Collins was waiting by Danny's desk with coffee and a worried expression. Dude, you look terrible, Jake said. How did the date go last night? Danny sat down and turned on his computer. About as well as always. She said I was nice, but we weren't right for each other. I'm sorry, man. That sucks. Danny wanted to tell Jake about Zara, but how could he? Hey, Jake. After my date rejected me, I posted something online and summoned a space goddess who thinks I'm special. Jake would have him committed to a mental hospital. I'll be fine, Danny said. Just need to focus on work today. But work felt different. Danny opened his current coding project and stared at the screen. The solution to a problem he had been stuck on for weeks suddenly became clear. His fingers moved across the keyboard like they belonged to someone else. The code he wrote was elegant and perfect. By lunchtime, he had finished work that should have taken him 3 days. Lisa Park, his supervisor, stopped by his desk. Danny, I just looked at your morning's work. This is incredible. How did you solve the efficiency problem so quickly? Danny looked at his screen. The code was there, but he could not remember writing half of it. I guess I had a breakthrough. Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up. This is the best work I've seen from anyone on the team. After Lisa left, Jake rolled his chair over to Danny's desk. Okay, what's going on? Yesterday you were struggling with that project, and today you're coding like a genius. Did you take some kind of smart pills? Before Danny could answer, the elevator doors opened and a woman walked out. Danny's heart stopped. She looked human, but Danny recognized her immediately. The same tall, graceful figure. The same perfect face. But now her skin looked normal, and her hair was a regular brown color that did not float in the air. She wore a simple business suit and carried a briefcase. Good morning, she said to the receptionist. I'm Zara Andrews. I'm the new consulting specialist. Danny grabbed Jake's arm. Did you know we were hiring a consultant? Jake looked confused. No, but Lisa mentioned something about bringing in outside help for the big client project. Why, do you know her? Danny watched as Lisa came out of her office to greet Zara. They shook hands and talked quietly for a few minutes. Then Lisa led Zara toward the development team's area. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Zara Andrews. She'll be working with us on the Morrison account. Zara has an impressive background in systems optimization. Zara smiled at the team. When her eyes met Danny's, he saw a tiny flash of the galaxy patterns he remembered from the night before. I'm looking forward to working with all of you, she said in a voice that sounded human but still made Danny think of music. Lisa assigned Zara a desk right across from Danny's. As the team went back to work, Zara set up her computer and arranged her desk. She worked quietly for an hour, then walked over to Danny. Excuse me, she said. I'm having trouble with this system. Could you help me? Danny's hand shook as he followed her to her computer. Up close he could smell something like ozone and starlight. You're really here, he whispered. Of course I am here, she said loudly enough for others to hear. Where else would I be? But she gave him a tiny wink that no one else could see. Danny spent the next hour helping Zara learn their computer systems. She asked intelligent questions and picked up everything quickly. Too quickly. By the end of the day, she was working faster than anyone else on the team. Hey, Danny, Jake said as they packed up to leave. Your new friend seems pretty amazing, and she keeps looking at you. Danny glanced over at Zara, who was shutting down her computer. She's just being friendly. Dude, that's not a friendly look. That's an interested look. You should ask her out. Danny's stomach twisted. I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? You're always complaining about being alone. And here's a beautiful, smart woman who seems to like you. What's the worst that could happen? Danny could think of several things worse than normal rejection, like accidentally starting an intergalactic incident. As Jake left, Zara walked over to Danny's desk. Would you like to have dinner with me? She asked. Danny looked around. The office was almost empty. Are you asking me on a date? I am attempting what humans call courtship. Is this the correct approach? Danny could not help smiling. You're supposed to be more subtle about it. And maybe don't call it courtship. That sounds old-fashioned. I see. Would you like to have dinner with me? She asked again, but this time with a more casual tone. Yes, Danny said before he could stop himself. They went to a small Italian restaurant near the office. Zara studied the menu like she was reading an ancient text. The food preparation methods here are quite primitive, she said. You're supposed to say everything looks good, Danny whispered. And don't mention that it's primitive. Ah, everything looks good, she said, but louder than necessary. When their food arrived, Zara took a small bite of her pasta, and her eyes went wide. Suddenly, Danny's meal tasted incredible. The flavors were rich and complex in ways that seemed impossible. Did you do something to the food? Danny asked quietly. I may have enhanced the molecular structure slightly. You do not like it? It's amazing. But you can't just enhance restaurant food. People will notice. I am still learning your social rules. After dinner, they walked through the downtown area. It was a clear night, and the city lights reflected off the river. Danny, Zara said as they stood on a bridge. Why do you believe you are unlovable? Danny leaned against the railing. I don't know. I just am. I'm boring. I'm not funny or charming or exciting. I work with computers all day. I eat pizza for dinner most nights. I can't even keep a plant alive. Your plant is thriving now. Because you fixed it. That doesn't count. Zara was quiet for a moment. In my observations of your species, I have noticed that humans often cannot see their own value. You judge yourself by standards that you would never apply to others. Maybe that's true, but it doesn't change the facts. I'm 28 and I've never had a relationship that lasted more than 3 months. And you believe this is because you are defective? What else could it be? Zara turned to face him fully. In the moonlight, Danny could see tiny stars flickering in her eyes. Danny Martinez, you create beauty with mathematics. You solve problems that help people communicate. You feel deeply and love freely even when it causes you pain. You are kind to strangers and loyal to friends. You search for truth in the universe even when that truth might hurt. Those are nice words, but they don't change reality. Reality is that you called out into the void, and the void answered. Reality is that a cosmic being traveled across galaxies because your heart spoke to hers. Reality is that you are sitting here with me under these stars having this conversation. Danny looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there was Zara's real home, a place so far away he could not even imagine it. Why me? He asked. If you wanted to study humans, why not pick someone successful? Someone who has their life together? Because those humans have not learned the lessons that pain teaches. They have not developed the strength that comes from surviving loneliness. They have not cultivated the deep capacity for love that grows in hearts that have been empty. They walked back to Danny's apartment in comfortable silence. At his door, Zara hesitated. "I should warn you," she said. "My presence on your world may attract attention from your government. There are humans who monitor for unusual activities." "What kind of attention?" "The kind that asks questions and watches from a distance." "Do not worry. I will protect you if necessary." As if her words had summoned them, Danny noticed a black car parked across the street. 2 people sat in the front seats watching his building. "They're already here," he said. Zara followed his gaze and sighed. "Humans are more observant than my files indicated. This may complicate things. What do we do?" "We continue with the courtship." "But carefully." She smiled and touched his hand. "Good night, Danny Martinez. Tomorrow will be interesting." As Danny watched her walk away, he realized that for the first time in years he was excited about tomorrow, even if government agents were watching him, even if he was probably in over his head, even if this all ended badly. For the first time in his life, someone thought he was worth crossing galaxies for. That had to count for something. Danny woke up to someone pounding on his apartment door. He looked at his clock. It was 6 in the morning. The pounding came again, harder this time. "Danny Martinez, this is Agent Ryan Cooper with a federal task force. Open the door now." Danny's heart jumped into his throat. He looked around his apartment as if Zara might be hiding somewhere, but he was alone. His glowing plant sat in the corner like evidence of a crime he did not understand. "I'm coming," Danny called out. He threw on a t-shirt and opened the door. 3 people in dark suits stood in his hallway. The man in front was tall with gray hair and serious eyes. Behind him stood a woman with short blonde hair and another man who looked like he could bench press a car. "Danny Martinez?" "Yes, I'm Agent Cooper. This is Agent Claire Brooks and Agent Tony Walsh. We need to talk." Danny stepped aside to let them in. Agent Brooks immediately walked to his plant and pulled out some kind of scanner. "Elevated energy readings," she said. "The vegetation shows molecular restructuring consistent with our previous readings." "Previous readings?" Danny asked. Agent Cooper sat down on Danny's couch without being invited. "Mr. Martinez, we know about your visitor. We've been monitoring unusual energy signatures in this area for the past week." "I don't know what you're talking about." Agent Walsh smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Last night at 8:47 p.m., our satellites detected a massive energy distortion centered on this building. The same kind of distortion we recorded 2 nights ago." Danny's mouth went dry. "You've been watching me?" "We watch for lots of things, Mr. Martinez. Unusual radio signals, unexplained atmospheric disturbances, people whose plants suddenly start glowing." Agent Brooks looked up from her scanner. "The energy residue here is off the charts. Whatever was in this room, it's not from Earth." Danny sat down heavily in his chair. "Am I in trouble?" "That depends," Agent Cooper said. "Are you working with a hostile alien force to undermine Earth's security?" "What? No. I'm a software engineer. I fix restaurant apps." "Then explain this." Agent Cooper pulled out a tablet and showed Danny a video. It was satellite footage of his apartment building from above. Danny could see his windows, and inside one of them, a column of impossible light. "That's your apartment, Mr. Martinez. That light source registered as having the energy output of a small star. Care to explain?" Danny stared at the video. There was no point in lying anymore. "Her name is Zara. She's from the Andromeda Galaxy. She came here because of something I posted online." The agents exchanged glances. "What did you post?" Agent Brooks asked. Danny felt his face turn red. "I said I was unlovable. I was having a bad day after another failed date. And I posted on this forum about aliens and space stuff. I said if aliens were watching us, I was proof humans were defective." Agent Walsh laughed. "You summoned an alien because you can't get a date?" "I didn't mean to summon anyone. I was just venting." Agent Cooper held up his hand. "What exactly did this Zara tell you?" Danny looked around his apartment. These people already knew most of the truth. He might as well tell them everything. "She said her people have been watching Earth for thousands of years. They're deciding if humans are ready to join some kind of galactic community. She said my post reached their monitoring stations and that she came here to prove I was wrong about being unlovable." "And where is she now?" "She got a job at my office. She's pretending to be a human consultant named Zara Andrews." Agent Brooks typed rapidly on her tablet. I'll run background checks on all new employees at his workplace. You won't find anything, Danny said. I'm guessing she's pretty good at making fake identities. A phone buzzed. Agent Cooper answered it and talked quietly for a minute. We have a problem, he said when he hung up. There's been another energy spike downtown. Same signature as your apartment. Agent Walsh's radio crackled. All units, we have reports of unusual electrical activity at the Morrison building. Multiple witnesses reporting strange lights and equipment malfunctions. Danny's stomach dropped. That's where I work. Agent Cooper stood up. Mr. Martinez, you're coming with us. If your alien friend is causing problems, you might be the only one who can talk to her. They rushed downstairs to a black SUV. Danny sat in the backseat between Agent Brooks and Agent Walsh while Agent Cooper drove through downtown Portland faster than any speed limit allowed. When they reached Danny's office building, police cars and fire trucks surrounded it. People stood on the sidewalk looking up at the 10th floor, where Danny's office was located. The windows flickered with the same strange light Danny had seen in his apartment. She's in trouble, Danny said. Agent Cooper parked and turned to face him. Before we go in there, I need you to understand something. We're not the bad guys here. There's a classified government program that's been preparing for first contact with alien species for over 60 years. We've known this day would come eventually. You have? We've had evidence of alien observation since the 1960s, but they've never made direct contact before. Your situation is unique. They got out of the SUV. Agent Brooks handed Danny an earpiece. Stay in contact with us at all times. If this Zara is really friendly, convince her to come with us peacefully. If she's not, Agent Brooks patted a weapon Danny had not noticed before. She's not dangerous, Danny said quickly. She's just trying to help. Mr. Martinez, Agent Cooper said as they walked toward the building. An entity with the power to cross galaxies could destroy this entire city without thinking about it. Until we know her intentions, she's extremely dangerous. They took the elevator to the 10th floor. The doors opened to chaos. Every computer screen in the office showed swirling patterns of light. All the office plants had grown into massive flowering trees that reached the ceiling. The air hummed with electricity. In the center of it all stood Zara. But she was no longer trying to look human. Her skin glowed with starlight. Her hair floated around her head like silver fire. Patterns of galaxies moved across her arms and face. She was arguing with a figure made of pure blue light that hovered near the ceiling. Commander Nexus, Zara was saying, I have not compromised the mission. I have gained valuable intelligence. The blue light pulsed angrily. When it spoke, its voice sounded like thunder. You have revealed yourself to their primitive governments. You have interfered with their technology. You have broken the most fundamental laws of observation. I have learned something crucial about this species. They are ready for contact. They are emotional, unstable, and violent. Today's evidence proves it. Look around you, Zara. Their security forces surround this building because of your actions. Danny stepped forward. Zara! Both beings turned toward him. Zara's face lit up with relief. Danny! You should not be here. It is not safe. The blue light focused on Danny, and he felt like he was being scanned by a machine. This is the human specimen that began this incident? Commander Nexus asked. This unremarkable creature is why you have compromised our entire observation mission. Danny felt anger rise in his chest. He had been called unremarkable by plenty of people, but never by a floating alien light bulb. Hey, Danny said, stepping closer. I'm standing right here. If you have something to say about me, say it to my face, or whatever you have instead of a face. Agent Cooper grabbed Danny's arm. Maybe don't antagonize the cosmic entity. But Commander Nexus seemed surprised by Danny's response. You show courage in the face of a being who could unmake you with a thought. Yeah, well, I've had a lot of practice being insulted lately. Zara moved to stand beside Danny. This is what I have been trying to tell you, Commander. Observe his response. He does not cower or flee. He stands his ground despite being afraid. Fear and stupidity are not courage. Danny looked up at the floating light. You want to see courage? I'll show you courage. I'm 28 years old and I've been rejected by more women than I can count. I go to work every day at a job that barely pays my rent. I live in a tiny apartment with a plant I can't keep alive. And last week I was so lonely that I posted my problems on the internet for strangers to see. The light pulsed, but Danny kept talking. But when Zara showed up in my apartment, I didn't run away. When government agents knocked down my door this morning, I told them the truth. When you called me unremarkable, I didn't agree with you. Maybe I'm not special compared to cosmic beings who can cross galaxies, but I'm still here. I'm still trying. I'm still hoping things can get better. Danny realized that everyone in the room was staring at him. The agents, the floating commander, and Zara. And you know what? Danny continued. Maybe that is what makes humans special. We keep going even when everything seems hopeless. We keep loving even when love hurts us. We keep reaching for the stars even when we can't leave our own planet. Commander Nexus was quiet for a long moment. Then the blue light began to fade. Interesting, the entity said finally. Very interesting indeed, Zara stepped forward. Commander, I request permission to continue my observation of this species. Granted. But Zara, you will follow proper protocols from now on. No more unauthorized technology enhancements. No more reality manipulations in front of witnesses. Understood. The blue light flickered once more. And Zara? Your human may be more remarkable than I initially calculated. With that, Commander Nexus vanished. Zara waved her hand, and all the strange lights disappeared. The giant plants shrank back. 3 days later, Danny found himself in the strangest place he had ever imagined. He was sitting in what Zara called an interdimensional courtroom, but it looked nothing like any courtroom on Earth. The space was enormous with no visible walls or ceiling. Stars and nebulae swirled overhead like a living sky. The floor beneath his feet was made of something that looked like crystal, but felt solid as rock. Around him sat representatives from dozens of alien civilizations. Some looked almost human. Others were geometric shapes of pure energy. A few were so strange that Danny's eyes could not quite focus on them properly. At the center of it all sat a panel of 3 judges. The middle one was a creature that looked like a tree made of silver metal with glowing blue leaves. To its left was something that resembled a giant butterfly with wings that showed moving pictures of distant galaxies. To its right was a being of pure white light that hurt to look at directly. Danny was not alone. Agent Cooper and Agent Brooks sat beside him, looking as confused as he felt. Jake Collins from his office was there too, brought as a character witness. So was Lisa Park, his supervisor, and Dr. Kate Murphy, a scientist the government had rushed in to help explain human behavior. Zara sat at a separate table, still in her cosmic form with galaxy patterns moving across her skin. She had explained that this was a formal hearing to decide humanity's fate, and she could not hide her true nature here. The silver tree judge spoke first. Its voice sounded like wind, through metal chimes. We are gathered to decide whether the species known as humanity should be welcomed into the galactic community or remain in isolation until they achieve greater development. The defendant species will be represented by the entity known as Zara of the Andromedian Council. A new figure materialized in the center of the courtroom. It was made of what looked like living crystal, and when it spoke, its words rang like bells. I am the rational speaking for the prosecution. I will prove that humanity is too emotionally unstable, too prone to violence, and too unpredictable to be trusted with advanced technology or galactic citizenship. Danny's stomach twisted. This was really happening. Aliens were putting humanity on trial, and the outcome would determine the future of his entire species. The rationale began its case by showing holographic images above the courtroom. Danny saw human wars, environmental destruction, and social conflicts from throughout history. Observe their primitive behavior, the rational said. In the past century alone, they have fought 2 global wars, developed weapons capable of destroying their entire planet, and brought numerous species to extinction. They cannot even manage their own world's resources responsibly. The butterfly judge asked, what of their achievements? Their art, science, and exploration? Insignificant compared to their destructive tendencies. They have barely left their own planet, yet they already dream of spreading their chaos to other worlds. Their emotions make them irrational and dangerous. Dr. Murphy stood up. May I respond to that? The white light judge nodded. Human emotions are not just destructive impulses, Dr. Murphy said. They drive our creativity, our compassion, and our determination to improve. Yes, we have conflicts, but we also have an enormous capacity for growth and change. The rational's crystal form flashed brighter. Growth and change. They repeat the same mistakes generation after generation. Their emotional responses override logic and reason at every opportunity. Jake Collins raised his hand. Can I say something? The judges looked surprised but nodded. I've known Danny for 5 years, Jake said. He's the most logical person I know when it comes to work. But he also worries about other people's feelings. He helps coworkers who are struggling, even when it means working late himself. He's logical and emotional at the same time, and that makes him better at both. The rational turned its attention to Danny. You are the human who initiated this contact, correct? Tell this court why you believe your species deserves galactic citizenship. Danny stood up on shaking legs. The eyes of dozens of alien beings focused on him. The weight of representing his entire species pressed down on his shoulders. I don't know if we deserve it, Danny said honestly. I'm probably the worst person to ask. A week ago, I thought I was such a failure that I posted about it online and accidentally called aliens to Earth. Several of the alien representatives made sounds. That might have been laughter. But maybe that's exactly why you should listen to me, Danny continued. I know what it feels like to fail. I know what it feels like to doubt yourself and make mistakes and hurt people you care about. And I also know that doesn't mean you stop trying to do better. The rational pulsed with cold light. You speak of feelings and trying. These are not rational bases for important decisions. No, they're not rational, Danny agreed. But they're human. And maybe that's not a weakness. Agent Cooper stood up. If I may, Your Honors, I've worked in government security for 20 years. I've seen humanity at its worst. The fear, the violence, the mistakes. But I've also seen us learn from those mistakes. We're not perfect, but we're getting better. Lisa Park nodded. In my experience managing teams, the best employees are the ones who care about their work and their colleagues. Pure logic without emotion leads to efficient but soulless results. The Silver Tree judge leaned forward. The prosecution argues that emotion leads to instability and violence. How do you respond? Danny thought about his failed dates, his loneliness, his moment of despair that had started this whole situation. Emotions do cause problems, he admitted. They make us jealous and angry and scared. They make us do stupid things, but they also make us write songs and paint pictures and fall in love. They make us sacrifice for our families and fight for people we've never met and keep trying even when everything seems hopeless. These are irrational behaviors, the rational said. Yes, they are, and they're also the most beautiful things humans do. Zara stood up. If I may address the court? The judges nodded. I have observed this species for several of your time units, Zara said. The prosecution is correct that humans are emotional and often irrational, but they misunderstand what this means. She gestured and new images appeared above the courtroom. Danny saw human art, music, literature, and acts of kindness between strangers. Most advanced civilizations achieve peace and efficiency by suppressing emotional responses. We become logical, predictable, stable, but we also become cold, distant. We lose the ability to create beauty from suffering, to find joy in simple things, to love someone despite their flaws. The white light judge spoke. Are you suggesting that emotional instability is superior to rational development? I am suggesting that the ability to feel deeply while still functioning, to doubt oneself while still trying, to remain vulnerable while still loving, these abilities are rare in the universe. Most species evolve past them. Humanity has retained them while also developing technology and science. The rational flashed brighter. Emotional responses cloud judgment and lead to poor decisions. Danny found himself speaking before he realized it. Maybe, but they also lead to good decisions that pure logic never would. A logical person wouldn't run into a burning building to save a stranger. A logical person wouldn't adopt a sick animal. A logical person wouldn't fall in love with someone from another galaxy. He looked at Zara as he said the last part, and she smiled. The defendant makes our point for us, the rational said. These behaviors serve no logical purpose. They serve no logical purpose, Danny agreed. But they serve a human purpose. They connect us to each other. They make us care about things bigger than ourselves. They make us willing to sacrifice for others. Dr. Murphy stepped forward. If I may, Your Honors, there's something called the wisdom of emotions in human psychology. Our feelings give us information that pure logic cannot provide. Fear keeps us safe, love motivates us to protect others. Anger drives us to fight injustice. The butterfly judge's wings showed new images. Humans throughout history standing up against oppression, caring for the sick, exploring dangerous frontiers. These actions required both logic and emotion, Dr. Murphy continued. Neither one alone would have been sufficient. Agent Brooks added, In our security work, we've learned that the most effective teams combine analytical thinking with intuitive understanding. Pure logic misses important details that emotional intelligence catches. The Silver Tree judge was quiet for a long moment. The court will consider these arguments. However, we must address a fundamental question. Can a species that struggles with self-doubt and emotional volatility be trusted with advanced technology and galactic citizenship? Danny felt the weight of the question. This was it, the moment that would determine humanity's future. Your Honor, he said, maybe the fact that we struggle with self-doubt is exactly why you can trust us. We question ourselves. We worry about making mistakes. We care about the consequences of our actions. Isn't that better than being so confident that you never consider you might be wrong? The white light judge pulsed. You suggest that uncertainty is a strength? I think it keeps us humble. It makes us listen to other perspectives. It makes us try harder to do the right thing. Jake Collins stood up again. Danny doubts himself all the time, but he's the most trustworthy person I know. He thinks about how his actions affect others. He admits when... Danny sat in his apartment staring at his computer screen. It had been 3 days since the cosmic trial, and he had heard nothing from Zara or the Galactic Court. The government agents had told him to go back to his normal life and wait. But how could anything be normal now? His glowing plant sat in the corner, still healthy and beautiful. It was the only proof he had that any of this had really happened. His phone buzzed. A text from Jake. Dude, are you coming to work today? Lisa's asking about you. Danny had called in sick for the past 3 days. He could not concentrate on coding restaurant apps when the fate of humanity hung in the balance. But maybe going back to work would help him stop thinking about it. He was getting dressed when his computer screen began to glow. Danny Martinez of Earth. Danny spun around. The same interdimensional courtroom was forming in his apartment, but this time it was smaller, more intimate. The alien judges sat in a semicircle around his living room. The court has reached its decision, the Silver Tree judge announced. Danny's heart pounded. Where's Zara? She will join us shortly. First, we must address you directly. The white light judge spoke. Danny Martinez, your species stands at a crossroads. Our decision will determine whether humanity joins the galactic community or remains in isolation. And? The butterfly judge's wings showed images of Earth from space. The prosecution argued that human emotions make your species unpredictable and dangerous. They cited your wars, your environmental destruction, and your social conflicts as evidence. Danny's stomach sank. This sounded like bad news. However, the Silver Tree judge continued, you and your fellow humans presented a different perspective. You argued that emotions, including self-doubt and vulnerability, are strengths rather than weaknesses. The white light pulsed. We have deliberated extensively. We have consulted with representatives from 47 different civilizations. We have reviewed thousands of years of human history. Please, Danny said, just tell me. The judges were quiet for a moment. Then Zara materialized in the center of the room, but she looked different. Her cosmic form was brighter than before, and she seemed to be glowing with her own inner light. Danny, she said, I have something to tell the court. She turned to face the judges. Your Honors, I have completed my observation of humanity. I have lived among them, worked with them, and learned from them. I am ready to present my final report. Proceed, the Silver Tree judge said. Zara looked directly at Danny. I came to Earth to prove that Danny Martinez was wrong when he claimed to be unlovable. I believed this would be a simple matter of demonstrating his positive qualities and correcting his self-perception. Danny felt heat rise in his cheeks. They were really going to discuss his dating problems in front of cosmic judges. However, Zara continued, I discovered that the situation was far more complex than I anticipated. Danny Martinez was not wrong because he lacked positive qualities. He was wrong because he fundamentally misunderstood what love means. Explain, the butterfly judge said. Love is not a reward given to those who achieve perfection. Love is a choice to value someone despite their imperfections, to see beauty in their struggles, to find strength in their vulnerabilities. Zara's form grew brighter. Danny Martinez doubts himself constantly. He fears rejection. He struggles with loneliness and makes mistakes. And these very qualities, these human qualities, make him more lovable, not less. The rational materialize beside her. These are irrational preferences. Love should be based on merit and achievement. Should it? Zara asked. Danny Martinez writes beautiful code, but that is not why I love him. He is kind to strangers, but that is not why I love him. He helped me understand human customs, but that is not why I love him. Danny stared at her. Then why? Zara turned to him with a smile that made his apartment feel like it was filled with starlight. I love you because you called out into the darkness and hoped someone would answer. I love you because you doubt yourself but try anyway. I love you because you think you are ordinary when you are extraordinary in ways you cannot see. Zara. I love you because when faced with cosmic beings who could destroy your world, you worried about their feelings. I love you because you stood up to Commander Nexus not because you were brave, but because you were scared and did it anyway. The white light judge pulsed. You are declaring romantic attachment to a member of the species under evaluation? I am declaring something far more significant than that, Zara said. I am declaring that through loving Danny Martinez I have learned what humanity's true gift to the universe is. She gestured, and new images appeared in the air around them. Danny saw humans throughout history. Artists creating beauty from pain, scientists driven by curiosity, ordinary people showing kindness to strangers. Most advanced civilizations achieve peace by eliminating emotional chaos. We become efficient, logical, perfect, but we also become isolated from each other. We lose the ability to truly connect. Connection is inefficient, the rational argued. It leads to bias and poor decision-making. It leads to something far more valuable, Zara replied. It leads to meaning, to purpose, to the willingness to sacrifice for others. The Silver Tree judge leaned forward. You suggest that emotional connection is worth the chaos it creates. I suggest that without emotional connection, existence becomes empty. Logical, efficient, and empty. Zara looked at Danny again. Danny Martinez showed me that love is not about being worthy of it. Love is about being brave enough to accept it when it is offered, and generous enough to offer it to others. She turned back to the judges. Humanity's gift to the galaxy is not their technology or their art, though both are remarkable. Their gift is their ability to love imperfectly, to connect despite fear, to remain vulnerable in a universe that rewards emotional detachment. The butterfly judge's wings showed images of other alien civilizations, advanced, peaceful, but somehow cold and distant. Your honors, Zara continued, we have achieved so much by evolving past emotional chaos. But we have lost something precious. Humanity can teach us to find it again. The rational flickered with frustration. Emotional instability cannot be a basis for galactic citizenship. It is not instability, Zara said firmly. It is adaptability. It is the ability to grow and change and learn. It is the courage to remain open to new experiences even when they might hurt. Danny found his voice. Your Honor, I still don't know if I'm lovable. Maybe I never will, but I've learned that it doesn't matter. What matters is that I keep trying to love others even when it's scary. He looked around the room at the cosmic beings who held his species' future in their hands. We're not perfect. We probably never will be, but we're trying to get better, and we're willing to help others do the same. Maybe that's enough. The judges conferred in their musical mathematical language for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Finally, the white light judge spoke. The court has reached its decision. Danny held his breath. Humanity will be welcomed into the galactic community as full citizens, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Danny's legs gave out, and he sat down heavily on his couch. However, the Silver Tree judge continued, humanity will serve in a unique capacity. Earth will become the galactic center for emotional intelligence training and cultural exchange. Other species will come here to learn what you call empathy, compassion, and love. The butterfly judge added, Danny Martinez, you will serve as Earth's first cosmic relationship coordinator. Your job will be to help alien species understand human emotions and to help humans understand their new galactic neighbors. Me? But I don't know anything about alien psychology. You know about human psychology, Zara said. And you know about love. That is all you need. The Rational's crystal form was dimmer now. This decision is unexpected, but I acknowledge that the evidence supports it. As the judges began to fade away, the Silver Tree spoke one last time. Zara of the Andromedian Council, you are granted permission to remain on Earth as the official galactic ambassador, should you choose to do so. I choose to stay. Zara said without hesitation. When the courtroom disappeared, Danny and Zara were alone in his apartment. She was still in her cosmic form, galaxy swirling across her skin. So, Danny said, you love me. I love you. Even though I'm a mess, because you are a beautiful mess. Danny stood up and walked over to her. Up close, she smelled like starlight and ozone. What happens now? Now we help other species learn what love is. We show them that imperfection and vulnerability are not weaknesses to overcome but strengths to embrace. And us? What happens to us? Zara smiled and took his hands. Where she touched him, Danny felt warmth spread through his entire body. Now, we figure out how to love each other across the distance between galaxies and species and everything that makes us different. That sounds complicated. The best things usually are. 6 months later, Danny sat at his desk in the newly established Earth Galactic Relations Office. His title was officially Cosmic Relationship Coordinator, but most of the aliens who came to see him just called him the human who helps with feelings. Today, he was counseling a crystal-based life form from the Vega system who was having trouble understanding why their human co-workers got upset when they gave purely logical feedback without considering emotional impact.